Alright guys, it's the next day. As you can see, I ain't got no further on the cleaning, but and I'm kind of unprepared because I've done used, that was almost a full can, and I've almost used every bit of it so far. I've got maybe a third of a can left. So I think I'm gonna just start and take off the shoes and the hardware and try to get the cleaned up pretty well, and then we'll put the new shoes on there, then move on and clean that up and try to get it remounted to the hub. Alright guys, I got the first spring off. Just use the screwdriver, pry it up, pop it out. Out of the unit, that way I'll put it back. I know how to put it back. Now clean. Alright guys, got this thing cleaned up best I could. I ain't got everything cleaned good yet, for the most part. This thing about ready to set back in. I don't know, somebody's must have replaced some of this hardware at one time, because this one's not the same. So apparently it wasn't original. Now here's where you need two hands, four hands. Try to get all this grease off, run everything just about through the parts washer. I should have used that one over here. I'm supposed to use that one over here. Okay guys, I got it all back together, and had a lot of trouble figuring out the way this thing right here went. But after I put it all together and I seen the way I had it wasn't going to work, I was able to figure it out. I remember this damn spring right here being a bitch to get off. So the way I had it was, this was on the inside, on the outside, and it's supposed to be on the inside. So that goes up that rod right there. So yeah, that spring was still a pain to get back on it, but then of course when I get everything back together, I noticed this was back behind everything again, so I had to take this spring right here off, move it out of the way, and was able to get it in. But anyway guys, I'm about to run out of memory. It's just a matter now of putting the drum back on the hub, setting the hub on here. And I'll have to find the torque specs for it, but thanks for watching. Alright guys, it's been a few days since that last section there, but I got the drum back on the hub, and basically all I did, I cleaned up these bolts good, and then I cut me a piece of heavy steel that was pretty straight, and took my sledgehammer and just tapped them in. Now, if you got a press with something that's deep enough that you can push in. You can press these in. It'll be a little bit easier. But this thing's pretty heavy, and I didn't feel like taking it all the way to the barn to do it. So anyway, I got in here the other day and put this in the parts washer and cleaned it. Got it fairly clean, except for a little bit right down here I missed. But what I'm going to do now is take some sandpaper and kind of rough up this edge. But I should have done that before I put this on here, so now I'm going to have to cover up this bearing, which I covered this bearing hole when I was driving these in, just keep any foreign objects and material out of there. So that'd be the next step, and then the step after that is putting it on the truck. Now, if you recall the other day, this wrench, or I'm sorry, this socket I had that will work on that 3/4 ton would not work on this nut right here. So what I did is I went to AutoZone. I was going to just buy a socket for it, but anyway, this is the part number that'll work. 4-wheel drive bearing, 6 lugs. And if you notice, these are just a little bit narrower than these lugs. I don't know why the damn difference, but this will work and that wouldn't. So be sure you got the right one when you go to do this job. Definitely need it to be able to torque this thing back on there, and I got to find the torque specs before I put it back together. But this will be the socket, and that nut will fit on there just like that, and we'll put it back on there. So stay tuned for that. Alright guys, according to my book, this thing's supposed to have a thrust washer on it that goes in here and up against that, but I think they didn't have one, so apparently they lost it. So we'll just use what we got. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread this thing on here. We're going to rotate the wheel. Now we got to torque it to 50 pounds, 50 foot-pounds. Right there, 50 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna loosen it up until we can get that little old keyway to line up, and then we'll put a ring, keyway in, a ring in, and we'll be ready to slide our axle in. So actually that's all there is to it. Just make sure you get the right socket. OEM brand 27046. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. I gotta do the other side, but I probably won't film it. Alright guys, one last thing I wanted to say is these bolts here, once you when you get your axle slid in, it'll have about this much and it'll hit the seal on the other end. You're gonna have to kind of lift up the end of that axle and get it past the seal. And then you're going to have to rotate till it fits in the grooves in the spider gears, and then you can rotate your hub to match up your bolt holes. And don't forget your gasket on there. Mine slid around a little bit, but these bolts are 115 foot-pounds torque on them, and that's all there is to it. Just take your time and try not to mess up those seals. When you're putting that drum on, that sun gun's heavy. I'm hoping I didn't mess up that seal because I couldn't get it all in one shot to go on. I had to kind of rest it and then slide it on up in there. So it definitely helps if you got two people putting this drum back on. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching.